Ciao y'all, NaturallyKenya here, and I'm back with another video, this time explaining to you what it's really like to live in Rome. I did a video previously about my tourist impression of Rome versus now, but now that I've been here a little bit longer, I wanted to update you guys with more information. So make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video if you like this content, and I will get into the video now without talking anymore. Let's get started. So I decided to discuss what it's really like to live in Rome. Not from a tourist impression, not from being there for 3 days, a week, 2 weeks. I mean, like, you've lived here for months plus time to know how the system works. So on a day-to-day basis, the craziness and chaos of Rome could start around 9 a.m., 8, 9, 10 a.m. I think the good thing about being in Rome is that the north and the south is not too far away. Also, the sea is pretty close on the western side. If you want to go to Ostia or another city, then it's very close as well. So I definitely think the location of Rome is ideal if you want to do a little bit of traveling north or south, because you're in the center essentially. So it's not like you have to go from Milan all the way down to Naples, even though they do have express trains for that. And the culture in Rome, it literally surrounds you and swallows you whole. If you ever get lost at night on some Roman streets, you will just feel the presence of history around you. I remember my sister and my mom and I, we got lost because there was no Google Maps working around the little alleyways in the streets. Sometimes there's no signal, and we just started walking around in the rain, and boom, there's the Pantheon. We had no idea. So it's like one of those things in Rome, you just really can't replace the culture. The culture is everything. If you want Italy, if you want to feel Italian, you definitely go to Rome. Another thing you'll realize when you live in Rome is the drinking culture, for example. Like, the only people who get really drunk are teenagers, essentially, and tourists. Not all the time. Obviously, you may have someone that's older that gets really drunk in public, but if you see anyone falling around on the streets, they're probably a tourist or a teenager. Generally, the Italians are very put together, generally. If they're out in public, they're, boop, that's it, that's me. I'm walking straight even though I had like 2 bottles of wine, it's fine. You never know, I'm just saying. Obviously, there are amazing monuments, amazing buildings. I don't know if you will ever be able to see everything in Rome, honestly. There's a list of 1,000 things. In my opinion, the food in Rome is absolutely delicious. I say there's 2 sides to the spectrum. It's either delicious or disgustingly touristic. I don't think there's, well, of course there's some okay food, but most of the food I taste is like amazing or disgustingly touristic, and I try to avoid, now that I've been here for a while, I definitely don't ever taste anything that's disgustingly touristic. Obviously, as a tourist, you walk past all these places and people are like, come eat here, come try our food. You should never go to those places, like, ever in life. Do yourself a favor and never stop. Also, just the food in Italy is so fresh and delicious, and it's so much more affordable when you compare it to the US. There's no preservatives. Well, obviously they have preservatives in some foods, but definitely less preservatives than in the US. I lost like 5 pounds when I got here, and I was eating everything. Like, I didn't stop. I ate everything, and I still ended up losing like 5 pounds in 2 months. It was amazing. It was like a diet that I didn't even know I needed. Also, I will honestly say that at times, eating in Italy can be annoying at restaurants, because if you're outdoors, you will pretty much always be bothered by somebody selling something. Whether it's an Italy keychain, a bracelet, a flower. Honestly, every time I'm sitting in near Piazza or Square, I get bothered at least twice during my 1 time sitting there. So it's kind of annoying, but I mean, there's nothing that I can personally do about it, so I'm just like, no thank you, and then we just move on in life. In terms of public transportation, this is always a fun one. So there are definitely a couple of strikes a month, which means the subway isn't working between the hours of like 8:30 to 5:30 or something, I can't remember. And basically there's no public transportation offered. And that's when the traffic and vehicular traffic, like people driving cars and stuff, is the absolute worst. I will definitely say that if you plan to live in Rome, you definitely need to live close to where you work, or like at least walking distance, what I say. I think any place that you need to be in Italy on basically a daily basis, you need to live like a 30 to 35 minute walk from, because you just never know what the situation will be if you need to rely on public transportation. Sometimes the buses never come. Just, you have to prepare yourself for the situation in Rome. It's very chaotic. Sometimes things don't work. You have to just make do with what you have. The thing about Rome and the buses is that they actually have some new ones now. I saw it, but most of the time, if you get an older bus, they're definitely not clean. Some of them are not air conditioned, which can be very interesting in the summer because some people don't like to wear deodorant. So if you're on there with them, you're just having a nice smell of all the fresh scents of body odor, and it's really not that enjoyable. It's really actually kind of disgusting. Like, just prepare yourself. Metro is actually pretty good, but it's not that well connected to the city. In terms of businesses and shops, generally a lot are closed on Sunday, which is definitely a contrast to the US considering we're open like 24/7. You also always have to check the website or Google Maps or ask around to find out if the business you're trying to go to is actually open, because you never know, you might show up and the doors are closed and you can't get in. Also, in general, a lot of places tend to close earlier in the afternoons than what we're used to in the US, so it's also something that you have to consider. In terms of bureaucracy, it takes pretty much forever to get anything done. It's absolutely a mess. There's no instructions 1 to 10 about how things operate. It's seriously like you're on your own. You can ask friends what happened in their situation. However, I mostly guarantee that your situation will not be the same. What it's really like to live in Rome in terms of language, I definitely think not only in Rome, but everywhere in Italy, you should definitely at least try to understand the basics of Italian. In Italy, there is not necessarily a high level of English knowledge, I guess you could say. Like in Sweden compared to Italy, for example, you definitely need to know Italian or at least the basics to try to get by in life in Italy, for sure. But also probably to make friends. For me personally, I have the closest friends that are foreigners here because I don't know, it just seems like it's probably like a language barrier with Italians and people from the US. That's also partly not only the Italians' fault in English, but also my fault being an English speaker, not having the proficiency in Italian. It's always a good thing to realize that you're coming into a new world. You're coming to Italy. Italy is not coming to the US, for example, so you should definitely try to make an effort whenever you can to at least try. Personally, that's something that I struggle with because my world is very English. I go to classes in English. I speak English with my friends. All my groups are in English. Everything's in English for me in Italy. So whenever it comes to Italian, it's something that I'm slowly learning over time because I don't have any strong Italian interaction on a daily basis, usually during my university class season or time. Also, for example, this is so random, but in the restrooms, there's always 0 toilet paper. As a girl, you have to carry around little pocket tissues if you want to use the restroom, because I can guarantee you almost 90% of the restrooms I go to in Italy have no toilet paper. Why? Like, I don't understand. If this is a girl's restroom and we need toilet paper, there's never any. So that's another thing you need to do. Always carry a pocket pack of tissues in your purse. To talk about the housing situation, I actually think renting a place is an absolute mess. Whenever you're trying to get contracts, because some people don't want to sign a contract because then you have to pay these taxes, blah, blah, blah. It's just a whole process in itself, and it makes everything so much more complicated. Also, in the center of Rome, I definitely think the prices of accommodation are definitely a lot, well, they are very high compared to the actual salaries that people make. In terms of weather, so I pretty much experienced all seasons in Italy, and I would have to say that all of them are pretty great, except for the summer. It is so hot. It is so humid, it almost feels like Texas. Sure, you open a window, but the heat is kind of unbearable. It's a little unbearable, honestly. In terms of shopping and money and making payments, yeah. You will definitely always need to carry euros in cash, in paper form, because all places do not accept card. And it's still one of those things that it's still one of those things that kind of annoy me about being in Italy, because it's so much easier to just, here you go, and hand your card over any place you go to. But that's not the situation in Italy. You always need to go to the bancomat, aka ATM, and get euros out to then pay for things. Although card is accepted some places, it's not always accepted, and that's the most annoying part. Driving in Rome. Personally, I do not do this. Number one, because most cars are manual here, but also because driving in Rome to me is crazy. Oh my God, the traffic is ridiculous. I've never seen an intersection operate the way I have in Rome. I definitely think if you can drive in Rome, you can drive anywhere in the world because it is so crazy. You have to look for scooters, zooming by motorcycles, Vespas, pedestrians walking where they aren't supposed to, another car that cuts you off and went, like, you really have to watch everything that goes on around the car, otherwise you will definitely end up hitting something. The traffic is also super hectic, but it's also very noisy with the cobblestone streets. Like even the tram lines that run along the cobblestone streets, it's honestly so loud. I was thinking that I would definitely not want to have an apartment near the tram line, near the cobblestone street. That is definitely not ideal. Also in Rome in general, people are pretty friendly and warm and welcoming. If you walk into a business, everyone's like, buongiorno, like it's fun and exciting, and these people are actually interested sometimes in like where you come from, why you're in Italy, what you're doing here. You know, generally people are very friendly. Obviously there's two sides to the spectrum. People can be very friendly and also be very cold and kind of abrasive and a little rude, but most of the time people are generally very friendly and they greet you with a smile just like we do in the US. In terms of employment, you are definitely paid less in Italy than the US. I don't want to do a salary comparison here, but I definitely think in the US as an engineer, you probably make 3 or 4 or 5 times the amount in the US compared to Italy. Expenses you have in Italy, I don't think they would be as much in the US depending on your situation, but it's definitely something to consider when you actually have a life in Rome. So guys, obviously this is my general opinion of what it's really like to live in Rome. Let me know if you guys have some questions about something that I didn't necessarily mention, and I'll try my best to explain them to you. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe to my channel. I will have a lot of new content out for you guys, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao, y'all.